Okay, hello everyone. Calling to order the Amana City School District Board of Education meeting for Monday, May 15th, 2023, and we are starting at 5:05 p.m. Thank you for everyone today who is in the audience. We have a lot to celebrate today and give attention to. We're going to begin with roll call, starting with Ms. Flores,
Present.
Ms. Rivas,
Present.
Mr. Segrist,
Present.
Mendez Garcia present, and today Ms. Cobian will not be present today. All right. Next, for our flag salute, we have a student that I'm going to be calling up, Elise Robles from Columbia School. Come on up. If we can please stand, and then I'll let you take over. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have a few items of interest today. We are going to start off today with item number 1 on AAUW Tech Trek. Yeah.
President Mendez Garcia and governing board members, good evening, and also good evening to our wonderful audience. It's exciting to see people in the room. It is my pleasure to kick off today's meeting with one of our many celebrations. Today we're going to be honoring 13 recipients that were selected to participate in Tech Trek, and also 3 guardian angels that are here from the organization, and I'll share a little bit more about them. To begin with, you might be asking yourself, what is Tech Trek? Tech Trek is organized by the American Association of University Women, AAUW. It's an incredible opportunity for young girls to explore the world of science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM. This highly esteemed program aims to inspire and empower the next generation of female leaders in this field. And I'm excited to share that 13 of our exceptional 7th grade girls have been selected to participate in the upcoming Tech Trek Camp this summer. They will be participating in the Whittier College and the UC San Diego campus. Tech Trek is designed to provide an immersive and hands-on experience for middle school girls who show keen interest in STEM subjects by offering a unique summer camp experience. This has been shown to break down barriers, challenge stereotypes, and encourage girls to pursue careers in traditionally male-dominated fields. The program emphasizes the importance of diversity and gender equality in the tech industry, fostering a supportive and inclusive environment for all of our participants. I want to take this opportunity to begin by thanking Vera Mae Walsh, Kay Beck, and Linda Waugh. Can you please stand? The El Monte City School District has participated in this camp experience for many, many years, and we had a local chapter that would always enable us to participate. And unfortunately, our local chapter closed down many years ago, and so we have been floating from different chapters, trying to provide this opportunity experience for our girls. And so we received a call from Vera Mae, who said, we have some spots and we want to make them available to El Monte City. And I want to give all the credit to Edna Robles for really helping to facilitate. After this was put on pause after the pandemic, she really brought this back, and she was the advocate. And normally we send 6 girls to Tech Trek, and this year we're able to send 13 girls as a result of the partnership. So I'd like to begin this evening by recognizing the girls that will be participating this summer. I'm going to call their names. I'm going to have them come on up. Mr. Sollenbach, would you be able to assist me hand out certificates? And then we'll ask the board to come up to take some pictures. All right, and not all of the girls were able to join us this evening, and so please, let's just applaud everybody because, again, this is just a wonderful experience and opportunity. Layla Childs. Tatiana Palencia. Kayla Mejia. Gia Liu. Aileen Morato. Helen Mack. Savannah Vasquez. Celine Ta. Caitlin Nguyen. Elise Robles. Andrea Castaneda. Natsume Hashimoto. Julieta Contreras. And these are a sampling of the extraordinary girls that will be representing us at Tech Trek this summer. Let's give them a big round of applause. And at this time, I also would like to invite Vera Mae Walsh, Kay Beck, and Linda Waugh to please join us. We'd also like to present you with a certificate of appreciation in recognition of the outstanding service and contributions to the El Monte City School District's STEM education for 7th grade girls. You guys, the board can join us.
Fit your heads in between heads, that works too. There we go. Yeah, perfect. All right. All right, everybody can look right here on three. 1, 2, and 3. One more time.
Just very briefly, I'm Vera Mae Walsh, and we are so honored and impressed with the entire school district, and especially the team that supported all of these girls in making this opportunity happen. And we're glad that you've bounced around and we inherited you from our fellow sister branches that are no longer with us. But this is the 25th year of Tech Trek in the state of California, so it's really a special honor when you realize how long AAUW has been trying to provide opportunities for 7th grade girls. And part of what is, you mentioned that they're going to college. They'll be living in a dorm. They'll have a dorm mate. They'll have dorm moms. They'll have junior counselors for the 5 days. And then next September, part of the agreement is the girls have to come back and tell our members what they learned and what inspired them for us to keep our commitment going forward. But again, thank you so much for everyone who made this happen. And it's really exciting. Camp is almost here.
Thank you so much. And on behalf of the board, congratulations to the 13 girls that were selected. How exciting that you're going to have this amazing experience. Okay, well, moving on to our next celebration, we have Classified Employee of the Year.
Thank you, President Mendez-Garcia and governing board members. Absolutely. Continuing with this party, it is my pleasure once again to announce and share Maria Galindo as our 2023 Classified Employee of the Year. I'm going to put her on the spot, and I'm going to ask her to come on up so she can stand in the spotlight while we're saying all the wonderful things about her that made her the standout employee this year. En medio y enfrente para que la celebremos, señora Galindo. Maria Galindo is the 2023 Classified Employee of the Year. She is a remarkable individual whose dedication and commitment to her work have significantly impacted all of us. Maria began her career in 2006 when she was hired as a food service assistant substitute. Even in those early stages of her employment, Maria demonstrated her reliability and eagerness to contribute to the well-being of her students. Her commitment to providing nutritious meals to children quickly caught the attention of her superiors, and in 2007, she was offered a position as a nutrition service assistant. Throughout her career, Maria has worked at various schools, including Cortada, Rio Vista, and Scherpser School. In each school, Maria consistently exhibited an exceptional work ethic and a genuine concern for students and staff. In recognition of her exemplary performance and leadership skills, Maria was promoted to Nutrition Service Site Lead at Scherpser School in 2016. As a site lead, she took on additional responsibilities overseeing the school's nutrition service program operations. Her ability to manage a team, maintain a positive working environment, and ensure smooth operations at a school site make her an individual asset to the school community. Maria Galindo's impact extends beyond her immediate responsibilities. She actively engages with students, teachers, parents, promoting healthy eating habits and providing education on the importance of nutrition. When we were awarding her, one of her colleagues shared with me that her son, who happened to be on leave a few weeks back, he was here, he's in the service, and he was only here for a few days while on leave. Maria took the time off, but she made it a point to call the school every day to ensure that her kids were eating and that everything was happening as smoothly as possible in her absence. Maria's Galindo impact is a testament to the invaluable contributions made by the classified employees in creating a positive and nurturing learning environment. Her unwavering dedication and exceptional work ethic serve as inspiration to her colleagues and stand as a shining example of the difference one person can make in the lives of others. Gracias, señora Galindo. And then I'm going to invite the board to come on up to take an additional picture. That would be wonderful. Yay.
Okay, are we ready for our next celebration? Yes, okay. Our next, we have Teacher of the Year.
Sitting front and center, Mr. Jaime Reyes. Come on up, Mr. Reyes. I have to point this out. Natalie is a former Columbia student who was at Columbia School when Mr. Reyes was the Aspire coordinator there. And I think that was the year that there was lots of championships to be celebrated. Is that correct? Correct. Yep, so, yes. Mr. Reyes is the Teacher of the Year. Woohoo! An outstanding educator and a role model for his students and colleagues. He started his journey in the El Monte City School District as a student at Scherpser and Gidley, and he continued his passion for education by working for Aspire in the district while pursuing his degree and credential. In 2010, he was hired as a substitute and quickly showed his dedication and commitment to teaching. In 2015, Jaime was hired at Cortada School as a fourth grade teacher where he excelled and became an integral member of the school community. His students loved him for his engaging teaching style and ability to connect with them personally. He worked tirelessly to create a positive and nurturing learning environment for his students, and his efforts did not go unnoticed. In 2016, Mr. Reyes transferred to New Lexington School, where he continued to make a significant impact on his students and colleagues. He has been involved with the Lighthouse team, which focuses on implementing the Leader in Me program, which teaches students leadership skills and the importance of personal responsibility. Jaime's dedication to his students' leadership development is evident in how he integrates its principles into his teaching and encourages his students to apply them into their daily lives. Mr. Reyes' commitment to education does not stop as his role as a classroom teacher. He also took on the role of a teaching assistant principal, where he works collaboratively with the school's principal to develop programs and initiatives to improve student achievement. His leadership skills are instrumental in the success of all the initiatives at New Lexington School. Mr. Reyes' impact on his students and colleagues is immeasurable. He is a true inspiration and a testament to the power of dedication and hard work. His commitment to education has made him a valuable member of the school community and has earned him the title of Teacher of the Year in the El Monte City School District. Congratulations, Mr. Reyes.
Shake hand.
Folks, after the presentations, you guys are more than welcome to come outside and we have a backdrop if you go to the family picnic. That's why I take 20.
I just want to take this opportunity to quickly acknowledge two students that have joined the meeting that will also be participating in Tech Trek, and that's Kayla Mejia and Natsume Hashimoto. Come on up so we can celebrate you. Yay.
Okay. At this time, just because I want to acknowledge that families are anxious to take pictures and things like that, we're going to take a 5-minute break so that you can enjoy the refreshments we have out there, take pictures, and then we'll resume with our nutrition services presentation. Okay. We are back to the El Monte City School District Board of Education meeting for May 15th. We're back at 5:32 p.m. All right, we are on items of interest, and we're on number 4. We have a presentation from Nutrition Services from Jenny Lee. And good and bad timing, because we're all hungry. And I think this is going to torture us at the same time.
We have Ms. Jenny Lee, our Director of Nutrition Services here while we get the presentation fired up.
Okay.
If you have any issues, Jenny, maybe we can get IT to come help you get the presentation fired up. Robert usually does that. But she was here about 1.5 years ago providing the board an update on all the wonderful things that our food services department was doing during the pandemic, right? And so it was more of an update on during the height of the pandemic, what we did during the school closures and transitioning back to that first year. This really feels like the first school year back, where we're going back to normal operations. But Jenny will be highlighting all the great things that we're doing in our nutrition services program. We do have some awesome transformative investments that we'll be making in the food service program as we move forward into the upcoming fiscal year and beyond. And we hope to bring some of that information back to the board at a later board meeting so we can update you on some of the exciting things that we plan to move forward with. While school districts around us were perhaps not feeding the entire community during the pandemic, our school staff members were not only feeding our students, but the parents, the grandparents, the entire community, even surrounding communities. And so we built up quite a bit of strong financial reserves in our Fund 13 child nutrition budget. And we're excited to now really deploy those as we move forward into the future years. The supply chain really impacted us in the past year or two, and some of the labor issues and shortages that we've seen. So we've been just somewhat trying to tread water as we transitioned out of the pandemic. And so Jenny will highlight some of the awesome things that we've done this past school year. And at a later date, we'll remark some of the great things that we have planned for the upcoming school year and beyond. So with that, I'll turn over to Ms. Jenny Lee, our Nutrition Services Director, to talk about our food services program.
Thank you so much for inviting me to speak tonight, and I'm excited to share. Let's see. Okay. For those of you who I have not had the pleasure to meet in person yet, my name is Jenny Lee. I'm the Director of Nutrition Services. I'm also a registered dietitian and a fellow mom of 2 toddlers, 1 and 4, that keep me busy at home, and my household's probably chaos right now without me because it's dinner time. But I also am a lunch lady at heart, and I love being able to serve alongside my teammates, 62 men and women that serve our students every single day. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and proceed. Okay, so our mission, I updated this from last year just to make it more concise. It's the El Monte City School District Nutrition Services Department is committed to providing students with wholesome meals and high-quality nutrition programs that promote lifelong healthy habits and academic success. This year, we did a little marketing. We updated our banners just to plainly state what we do. All school meals are free for students, and that includes breakfast, lunch, supper, and snack in our after-school programs. And I'll speak a little bit more on all the other ways that we expand our meal program beyond the school day. Our objectives that I shared with us last year, they still are true today, and so I wanted to just refresh and bring them back to my presentation because they really are the driving forces for our department. The first being to increase meal quality and expand access to school meals, and that means serving meals that students want to eat. And that's a challenge in itself, with me even trying to serve my own kids at home. But it is what we strive for daily, whether it's finding comfort foods that students will gravitate towards, that they're not afraid to try, as well as expanding their cuisine and palate and trying to incorporate more ethnic and locally sourced ingredients. We also would like to seek out opportunities to act as a food and nutrition hub for the community. This past Saturday, we were able to provide meals for the City of El Monte's Inspire event. Just another way that we are trying to support our community as much as we can. Our second objective was to support sustaining nutrition education programs. I know this district has a history of nutrition education, and with the pandemic, a lot of it fizzled away, especially with decline in funding. I would love to bring back some of those programs that were really meaningful and impactful for our students. I'll share a little bit about that as well later on my presentation, but with the key word being sustaining. We want to make sure that these programs, whatever it is that we bring on board, that they are going to be ingrained in our El Monte culture here and that they don't leave. Whether or not whoever is here in this seat, that they continue to impact our families. And with that, to strengthen school, parent, and community partnerships to provide nutrition education in the lunchroom, the classroom, and in the child's community. And our third driving force is to create opportunities for nutrition services staff to thrive. We know that our staff are the backbone of our meal programs, and we try to invest as much time and resources into their professional development and training programs for staff. We know that all things are possible with a team that thrives together. All right, so a little more information on how we increased meal participation and quality and access this school year. We started off this school year by kicking off with California Universal Meals. This is a historical time for school meals, California being the first state in the nation to offer free meals for any student, breakfast and lunch, regardless of their income status, regardless of any paperwork they had to fill, and we created that safety net for families, right? And that includes that we provide breakfast and lunch every school day, including minimum and professional development days that are even shorter. And so kudos to the principals in the room that have really enabled me to do breakfast and lunch in 3 hours where their students are on campus. As well as Saturday school. We started this year providing breakfast and lunch in our Saturday programs, where historically we've only done lunch. This year, we also renewed our CEP status, which pushes back or pushes forward our timeline, where students and families in our district don't have to fill out any meal applications. Meals are provided for free, of course, through Universal Meals, but it also means that we get the maximum reimbursement per school meal served to a student. We also made menu updates, and this is an ongoing project and work. The first being that we added specialty items for 7th and 8th graders. I hear that our spicy chicken sandwiches are amazing, and we would love to incorporate more things that are just tailored to that age group. Even though they're on a K-8 campus along with their younger siblings, we want to make sure that they feel that they're getting meals that are elevated as well, in preparation for all the amazing things that high school has to offer. This year, with the COVID protocols easing a little bit, we were able to incorporate more warm breakfast items. In the past year, we had to wrap everything. We wanted to minimize the amount of contact that students had on the meals in our breakfast carts. This year, we were able to offer warm breakfast items, and you'll see later on how that has increased our breakfast participation. With the easing of COVID protocols, we also brought back our salad bars to our schools. They look a little different. They're not the full-fledged salad bar, but we wanted to make sure that we didn't utilize too much of this cafeteria space, which is prime real estate, but also to make sure that the program that we brought back was sustainable. Our staff felt motivated, and they felt that this was something they can do as often as they could. We also did some themed menus for holidays and celebrations. This year, we also introduced family-style meals for our Head Start programs. And if you haven't had the opportunity to visit, this is where the students ages 2 to 3 are sitting around a table, feeding themselves, serving themselves their breakfast and their lunch. So they're scooping, servings of broccoli and having a conversation around the table. And I've had the opportunity to visit, and it's just amazing to see the things that they talk about, but also that how much they're eating as they're doing it. So we love that we were able to bring that program back this year. And lastly, we rotated items that were just no longer popular, like our enchiladas, but you might see a return to our enchiladas next year with a revamp of a recipe. We were also able to do a school taste test this school year with surveys, and we had the opportunity to serve lunch for our Student Advisory Council, where they taste tested the carne asada bowl that would go out on our lunch menu, some different salad options, some specialty pizzas. We did a Hawaiian style, as well as pepperoni and jalapeno, which was really popular. Kids like spicy food here, as well as some breakfast yogurt parfaits that we will be seeing next school year in our in the morning. I made up some samples with our lovely operations coordinator, Carla. She's gonna, we have those stocked in your closed session refrigerator for you to taste test later. But the idea of our breakfast yogurt parfaits is to incorporate seasonal produce. So you'll see, in the fall we'll do apple cinnamon, just in tune with the calendar and seasons. time around, you're going to be tasting our breakfast yogurt parfait with fresh berries because it's summer and berries are in season. And I think it's just going to be wonderful for you to try. This year, we were also able to take 36 students and our amazing assistant principals from our K-8 schools to the California School Nutrition Conference. This doesn't happen very often. And I just want to say the amount of time I had to coordinate getting the kids, arranging for transportation, collaborating with the assistant principals, permission slips, it was very, very short. And it's amazing how this community, the staff here at El Monte City will jump over hurdles just to make opportunities available for our students. So I wanted to say big kudos to everyone that was involved in that. The students got to taste tests from over 30 vendors. There were actually 200 vendors at the show. But we knew that they couldn't probably stomach every single thing that was offered. They also participated in nutrition education and physical activity while they were there and provided feedback on menu ideas. And one of the comments was to bring back some kind of customizable bowl. They tasted chicken bowl at the conference with different vegetables, just something along those lines, as well as some spicy options for the kids. Here's pictures, I know. Just a great group of children that we got to bring with us, and I got to know a little bit more on what we did to increase meal quality and access this year is we launched our Lunchbox Buddies program. For those of you who are not familiar with the program, it's the opportunity for students who just prefer mom's turkey bologna sandwich in their lunchbox to still enter through the lunch line and grab a bunch of snacks and just sides to fill their lunchbox. You know, there's a photo right here. Those are just side options that are available to students. We got yogurt, milk, fruit, vegetables, string cheese, crackers, and that way we can maximize the number of meals that we serve and take some of the burden off of parents that don't want to keep making breakfast or sandwiches and having to fill the lunchbox with other snacks. So we did that job for them. This year, we also supported schools with special events, after school and Saturday programs, of course, field trips, intersession meal kits, which was an opportunity for us to create meal kits for McKinney-Vento students during winter spring break, and just utilize the skill set and the operations that we learned during the pandemic and just being able to bring it back forward into the school year. Barbecues are back. Our calendar is full, and now we offer street tacos for school events as well. So I had some of my food supervisors attend a trade show last week, and they saw a taco truck, and they're really nudging me to get that with our kitchen infrastructure funds, but we'll see. Back to school nights, open house, harvest festivals, family nights, family picnics. If there's a school event and there's a need for food, think of us, consider nutrition services. A lot of times the meals we provide are going to be free of cost to any child, regardless if they're a Monte City student. They could be a sibling because this is part of our after-school program. We are allowed to do that. And it's just created a lot of visibility for our department, and our staff gets more hours, more meals. It's just an amazing partnership with our schools. And in addition to more partnerships, we're continuing to support Jeff Seymour Family Center, our Savior Center with any of donations that we have. This year I also got to do a couple of parent meetings where I got to speak to parents, share a little bit about our program, and get to know what their concerns are as well. And we launched a couple of campaigns like National School Breakfast Week and Food Literacy Week. And if you're not already following us, we have an Instagram page, and we try to put as much content as possible. So our school breakfast contest is going to be an annual contest. This is being our second year. We had 3 winners this year. Annabelle Guizar, second grade, Muhan Kui, third grade, both from New Lexington, and Tilly Perez, 5th grade from Wilkerson. This was a really special time for us to celebrate their creativity. The theme of the year was Fuel for the Future, and they had anecdotes and just really amazing drawings. We'll try to post them on our website later as well. But we threw a breakfast party for all the classrooms that had a winner. The winners also got a scooter and a helmet. And this year we invited their parents. So it was really nice to see them on campus, feed them breakfast, and have them enjoy the accomplishments of their student. Okay, so in a little over 6 months, we have served 1.6 million lunches, 1.3 million breakfasts, 384,000 suppers, and provided meals for over 130 school events and 150 field trips. And it continues to grow. We are very busy this spring. And it's just amazing to see the numbers up there, because I know our team has been working hard, but it's just even more amazing to see. And so how do we stack against years past? In breakfast participation, we did see an increase from 61% last year to 68% this year. I'm thinking along the lines of our warm breakfast options, the attendance improving this year as well. For lunch, we see an increase of 4% from last year, almost at pre-pandemic times. And we're excited about that. We know next year's lunch menu is going to be even more awesome. So we hope to beat that record of 85% next year. When I'm going to be back here and presenting next year, I'm sure. So I want to make sure we get that 85% up there. And then last year, I didn't include supper participation, but I thought it was important to share just the amazing collaboration between our ELOP programs and partners and nutrition services, where we have seen an increase in supper participation as well. So with all this meal and participation, I'm sure you're wondering if we are making money. And the truth is, yes, we are. We are making money. We have projected to add an additional $2 million to our fund balance this year, which we are looking at $9 million at the end of the year, Irina? Yeah. We are currently working on our multi-year budget to see how we can best invest our dollars for lasting programs and infrastructure. We brought on a new accounting analyst, Irina Doyle, who's here in the audience, who will bring this amazing analytics and skills that she's currently going to school for as well, and helping us to better spend our dollars. This year, we were also awarded $99,000 in equipment assistance grant funds. This is to replace ovens at Frank Wright, Wilkerson, and Clemenson schools. Yes, it does cost that much money to replace ovens. And as well, we were awarded $1.7 million in kitchen infrastructure and training funds for this upcoming school year. We'll be planning on how we can use those funds on replacing equipment. All of our school kitchens need a refresh on equipment, and it does take a little time to do that, but hopefully in the next couple of years we have a complete refresh of equipment at our school kitchens. We were also awarded $246,000 in supply chain assistance funds, a lot of which will go towards our dairy and our produce expenses. But, with next year, we are also looking at a projected additional 7% increase in food and supply costs on top of the 10% that we saw this year. So that's a lot. And we, with the Keep Kids Fed Act expiring in June, we will also be losing 40 cents per lunch, as well as 15 cents for breakfast in federal reimbursement, which leaves us with about $2.50 to spend on food for lunch and $1.70 spent on breakfast, which is not an impossible feat, but something that we need to keep in mind. Just a little insight, we served strawberries last week, and I think we're serving them again this week. It's about 55 cents to 60 cents a serving to serve strawberries. So, and that doesn't include the milk and the entree that goes along on that plate and the plate itself. It's a challenge, but we are up for the challenge. And that leads me to the future of school meals. USDA has proposed changes to our school meals. This is going to be so that we can have the meal patterns aligned with the current dietary guidelines for Americans, which is the 2020 dietary guidelines. This means that we might see a further reduction in sodium, new limits for sugar, changes to flavored milk options, which possibly mean that we might not be able to serve chocolate milk. But I hope that's not the case. The comment period ended last Wednesday, and we are looking forward to the regulations that are finalized. I will say this, if there's anything school nutrition departments know how to do is we know how to pivot. So we will make it work however the regulations fall. But we will also see an increase in number of scratch-made items utilizing minimally processed ingredients. There's a big push for this transformative work in school nutrition, and that means just going back to the basics, making our own things, using locally sourced produce wherever we can. I think the industry has learned a lot from our experience during the pandemic where the supply chain was heavily impacted. We couldn't get the things that we were normally used to serving. And so they want us to start relying on the things that are available to us next door, within 400 miles of our city. And so we'll be working on that next year. We will also be looking at incorporating more on-site preparation of food items, and this is really in response to the feedback from students that it just doesn't appear fresh when it comes from our central kitchen. So we want to change that perception of school nutrition, because no matter how much love we put into the recipe and we package it, if the students don't think that it looks fresh, then it's something we have to work on. And as well as expanding options for students with meal accommodations, including more plant-based menu items, and lastly, of course, to continue to replace aging equipment. All right, next pillar was to support nutrition education programs. This year we supported Harvest of the Month in our after-school programs. We did 2 rounds of it. We would love to do more. I know that our after-school Aspire just got really inundated with all the different programs that were available to them, so we want to incorporate that seasonally as well next year, but expand that to classrooms that are interested, classrooms during the school day, teachers that want to incorporate Harvest of the Month curriculum. This year, we were able to provide nutrition education in our migrant ed program. We had 2 wonderful bilingual interns that presented in front of this group of parents, and they wanted more. So we hope to continue that partnership as well next year. We promoted nutrition and wellness resources being offered through our other departments. We did a deep dive of all the different things that El Monte City is doing in terms of nutrition and wellness, and there's a lot. So if you didn't, I posted our wellness committee meeting on our website, and there's more information on that as well. And just making more nutrition education resources available on our website, from Dairy Council curriculum to snippets from LA County Public of Health, just ways that we can be a resource for our school community. Speaking of our wellness committee, we met the first time in 2 years. We had a small group, but we hope to grow in the next couple years. We shared, again, just the resources that were available throughout our district. And then I shared with the committee that this year we are tasked with completing our triennial assessment, issuing a survey to all stakeholders, and then updating our wellness policy. Next steps for nutrition education programs is to bring on another registered dietitian. Would love to incorporate more nutrition education in the after-school setting for parents, in the classroom, as well as provide nutrition resources for teachers and staff, in addition to just completing our nutrition analysis and audit preparation as well. Supporting Harvest of the Month in the classroom, supporting schools in healthy classroom or school parties. The goal is to just provide the tools and the resources. If we could take classroom parties off your hands and provide compliant ice cream and snacks and make it easy on you, we would love to do that. And that way we can support our wellness policy and all the wonderful guidelines we have in it. And then lastly, we would love to launch our district wellness policy poster. I provided a copy on your desk. Of course, it's going to be blown up. And you notice that there's one section that's blank, and I left it blank because I don't know if I'll get to it tonight, but after completing our wellness survey, we did see an area that the wellness policy did not address, and that's the area of mental health and education. And I would love to incorporate and write some policy on that in our wellness policy and incorporate as one of our district wellness goals. And lastly, I spoke a lot about investing in our nutrition services personnel. These are wonderful individuals that I get to work with daily. This year, we were really focused on just recognizing all their hard work during the pandemic. They did a lot of extra duty, and we made a lot of that permanent this year, with almost all of our staff having over 30 hours a week positions, which is amazing. And so school nutrition can be a career option now, and it's not just some volunteer work or something you do because you have kids in school. This is an option for students when they graduate to be school nutrition professionals. And throughout the process, we have seen zero turnover, actually, and very little staff shortages, whereas our neighboring districts have struggled with that throughout the pandemic and even throughout this year. We have boosted morale and just ensured the ability for us to create quality meals at our school sites and create the sense of being part of the community for our staff. And we look forward to offering more trainings for our school nutrition professionals. This year, we did our food safety certifications, forklift certifications, but we did something a little interesting. We took our warehouse drivers to a barbecue training where they learned how to cook and smoke and butcher meat. And this year, if you haven't been at a school site with a barbecue, it's one of our warehouse drivers behind the apron now. So they have really been a part of our team, and I love being able to highlight the work that they're doing, and they making sure that they're seen as school lunch heroes as well. And another training that we would love to do with our staff next year is a youth mental health training. Carla Torres and I had the opportunity to go to a training at LACO, and I was just astonished at just the amount of mental health education and lack thereof and support for our students, and how we can change that within our school community. What really resonated for me was that a single act of kindness can really change the child's day and essentially save their lives. So I would love for our nutrition services staff who see every single child every single day for lunch to be able to recognize children in crisis and to be that act of kindness for them. With that, we were able to also take our staff to the school nutrition conference where they just left completely motivated, inspired. There's so much for me to say about this wonderful group. There are times that I am afraid to dream big, and this group right here daily reminds me that anything is possible. They have so much love, commitment, grit, heart for our students and our community, and I know I could do it because they're all up for the challenge. So just a big thank you to our supporters, to our cheerleaders along the lines, for just continuing to share the love that we have for our school nutrition.
Thank you, Jenny, for an awesome presentation. There's some wellness survey results included in presentation for your review. We'll go into all the results, but we want to share that with the board and the community. And again, thank you to the Board of Education for making sure that through your leadership and the cabinet that we set up our staff for success, because it's just awesome when we have the systems in place. Our staff has a heart, and it was truly on display during the pandemic. Maybe not as visible now, because we're not feeding the community, but trust me, there's great things happening inside our cafeterias on a daily basis, and Jane did an awesome job to cover that. So with that, we'll open up if there's any questions.
Any questions from the board? Yes, Mr.
Just a
Speaker.
comment. What an outstanding presentation. Wonderfully done. Your enthusiasm comes out very clearly. I have a question about something.
Sure.
You said that it says in there that there were some specialty items for 7th and 8th grade students. What were specialty items?
So we trialed the spicy chicken sandwich, what they loved, and just so you know, the chicken patties that we use are whole muscle, white meat chicken patties. We invest in that quality of meat. We also did some different chef salads. We did a carne asada salad. And we're just trying a lot of different things. We actually find that this group is very difficult to please. And so we're experimenting, and hopefully we'll find that item that they just all gravitate towards.
Final comment. This sure beats the old days of cold pizza. Beautifully done.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? No, just great on my behalf as from the board. Great job. It was great information to have on how we're adapting to the students and seeing what they like and not like, rather it being adult like, no, this is what we're making, right? You need to eat it. So the fact that we're really taking into account what's working and not working and using that data to inform decisions, so that knowing that we have limited resources, we want to be making sure that we're using those resources really wisely. And I love the fact that you're also acknowledging, you're right, our nutrition staff, our classified staff are part of that school culture and connecting with students. And so thank you for acknowledging that and giving the training to the staff and acknowledging the importance.
Thank you so much.
All right, questions? Okay, all right, thank you so much.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
yay. Sure, I have dinner on the table for my kids. Thank you.
We may request a chicken sandwich next time. This is coming from the president that commented last time, right, on the carrots. What do we have? Carrots ranch cheese sticks. That's what stood out to us at
Back to school night.
back to school night.
I
yeah.
remember that, yes.
Right, next is we have communications. We do have one card submitted today. I'm calling up Diana Elliott.
Good evening, members of the board. Since it's only 3 minutes, I'll go ahead and start right now. I have a lot of concerns about students' behavior in the district, as far as like a lot of worries that I have about some behaviors. And rather than share the specific examples, later on I'd be willing to share, if you guys are interested in hearing some specific examples of some of the very troubling things I've been seeing on campus. I'd be willing to share later. But I do have some suggestions of things that we can do to improve the children's behavior on campus, not only at Rio Hondo, but the whole, as a whole, through the whole district. And then I'd also like to let you know how we can maximize student learning time. So one of the things that I think would really benefit the students is the children are really struggling, having a lot of mental health crises, as was mentioned before. So I'm glad that the district is looking into some things to improve the kids' mental health and to help them. So one of the things I'd like to suggest is hiring a specific kinder through 5th grade counselor, rather than just not one counselor for the whole blanket of K through 8th, because the 6th, 7th, and 8th have specific needs than what K through 5 has. Another thing that I'd like to suggest is to offer more Tier 1 and Tier 2 support at the beginning of the school year, and to allocate sufficient time for teachers to implement those supports to the students to help them to improve. Another suggestion is to look at increasing the amount of aid time, instructional aid in the classroom, or to possibly consider the idea of having a instructional aid all day. Since there's a lot of time that is wasted in the instructional day when a teacher needs to calm down the student when they have a tantrum or they have an episode or they're having a little bit of a crisis. And that way the teacher will be able to continue with their lesson, and there could be a little more support provided there in the classroom during the regular school day. Whether the child needs to see the psychologist, a counselor. And then another thing I'd like to suggest is having an intervention teacher possibly come to the classroom rather than having the children walk over to the intervention classroom. It might save some time in that the walking back and forth, sometimes some instructional minutes get wasted. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, but it all adds up. Another thing I'd like to suggest is to provide other appropriate placement and support by developing other different types of looking into other classroom programs for students. Another thing is looking and considering hiring an unarmed security guard to walk through the hallways during instructional day. So the kids are aware they're constantly being monitored on campus as they walk to the bathroom, the nurse, intervention, and sale. I'd also like to suggest recruiting parent volunteers and others, committee members to mentor our students. And the last thing I'd like to suggest is to schedule some more interesting activities on our campuses, some more physical fitness activities, fun runs, jogathons, guest artists to motivate the kids for art therapy sessions. I know my time is up. I'll stop right now. Thank you for your time, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for coming today and your comments, Ms. Elliott. Do we have any written communications?
No written communication has come forward.
Okay, we're going to move on to cabinet reports.
President Mendez and governing board members, this evening we have another jam-packed cabinet update for you that highlights and celebrates lots of the wonderful things that are happening throughout the district, as well as some notifications of some things to come. And we're going to kick it off with an exciting picture. I know Mr. Desmati's working his magic over there.
Talk slower so you can get it.
Oh, got it. Our opening slide is a picture of our conga kids. So I have to tell you, it was so much fun to see conga kids come to life this year. We had two celebrations. We had two performances where 7 of the schools competed with one another on the first night. Second night, the other 7 schools. And so the top schools from each of those evenings went on to represent us at LA Live, and that was Frank Wright and Potrero School, and they did a phenomenal job. It was a wonderful evening. There they are. Look at that smile. Just a wonderful evening that really captured just the spirit of dance and coming together through physical activity for our students. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Herrera, who will kick us off with the business services update.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. Last week, the Governor Newsom released the May revised budget proposal. Budget gets adopted in June, and in January there's an update to the budget. Also, it's the first look at the upcoming school year's budget. In May, typically after the tax deadline comes in April, we get a clearer picture. This year, because tax deadlines were pushed back to October, we're flying blind a bit going into the projections, right? So we hope that there's better news that comes in October when the tax filing deadline comes in about 6 months from now. What we do know, or at least what's being projected for next fiscal year from the May revision, is good news in the sense of an 8.22% cost of living increase. So we'll get 8% more funding per student. Unfortunately, we're going to continue seeing declining enrollment. So although we're getting more funding per student, we'll have less students. A bit of bad news, there's reductions that were introduced at the January proposal where they took and reduced some of the arts, music, instructional funding for the current year, which is a little alarming because these are funds that were already set aside when the budget was adopted back in June of 2022 for the upcoming 22-23 fiscal year. The governor came back with some more significant reductions to the arts music block grant in addition to the learning recovery block grant. So that amounts to about $7.5 million of reductions or cuts to revenues that were already awarded to school districts in the current year. So mid-year reductions, or at this point, it's not even really a mid-year reduction, we're almost at the end of the school year, are never fun. So a bit of good news with higher COLA next year, but some reductions that we're seeing in the current year. And if the economic risks continue to materialize, there may be further reductions that we see in the upcoming years. So, and then as we look ahead to June, the question always is, why do schools boards have 2 board meetings in June? Well, there's requirements under the law where there needs to be a public hearing and adoption of not only the budget, but the local control and accountability plan. So and that will be coming at the two board meetings coming up in June. And next up, as we look at our demographic trends, just some interesting information to share. In 2021, California saw a reduction in our population for the very first time in our long, nearly 2-century history here in the state of California. We thought that was a one-time occurrence, but it seems to be a trend that has continued into 2022. And this is information. Obviously, we've looked at some of this information at the study session earlier in the month through the demographic report, and that's attributing some of the declining birth rates and increasing housing costs, right? So unfortunately, it's a trend that was sped up a bit during the pandemic as families potentially moved out of the state, and the birth rates continue to decline at a rapid pace. So that's information that the board has, the cabinet has, the school community has, and we'll be processing that information as we look at future decisions in the area of our facility master plan, so we can make decisions that not only meet the needs currently with our facilities, but as we go out a few decades into the future. And as we pivot our attention to the next topic of our food services, obviously, Jenny discussed all the great things that we're doing, so I don't need to touch too much on this, but we just continue doing the great work in the month of May and April in the area of food services. And an exciting area to focus on facilities this upcoming summer, we're going to be breaking ground at the Cortada campus, removing 6 portable classrooms and installing 4 modular classrooms via a grant from the Office of Head Start and the LA County Office of Education. So we've already purchased the modular classrooms. Those are being fabricated. We're very close to getting DSA approval, which will come in the next few weeks, and we hope to officially break ground in June and July as the kids are going to be off and there's no summer programming happening at Cortada School. Tonight's board meeting, we have an agenda item to award a contract to the general contractor, Nazarian Group, who will be doing some of the site work there at Cortada campus. So they've worked with us before in the past. They were the selected vendor out of the 3 proposals that came in. And we checked the references, and they've continued to do awesome work with surrounding school districts here in the El Monte area. So we're happy to be partnering with them. And with that, I believe that's the last one. I'll turn over to Dr. Pernetto.
Thank you, Mr. Herrera. Good evening, everybody. Updates on the exciting world of educational services. We have our summer school enrichment coordinators have been selected. These are formerly known as our summer school principals in the past, and they will be helping to oversee our summer school enrichment program, which is part of our expanded learning opportunities program. At Rio Hondo, Sorry, Robert. At Rio Hondo School, we will have Erin Ramirez. At Durfee, Maritza Dueñas. Rio Vista, Diana Martinez. We actually have someone who will be at Kids Campus, which is Art Arias. That's the first time that we'll have somebody assigned there, so we're excited about that partnership with them. At Columbia, Lily Chung. Potrero will have Caitlin Swan O'Shea. Sherpser, Janet Castillo, and Wright will have Danielle Clementson. And this is really exciting time for us as we look to build a pipeline of our future leaders, and one of the places that we start. Next year, we look forward to, again, partnering with AVID. We will continue to provide AVID elective classes for our 7th and 8th grade students as one of their electives or exploratories. Our AVID teachers and some of our content area teachers will be attending the AVID conference this summer to build their capacity in supporting both AVID students and all students that come through their classrooms. We have a couple of pictures there of, we just recently had our AVID students from Columbia visit the courthouse here in El Monte, where they were able to meet with some of the judges that are there and participate in a process there, and so they had a really good time. And then also part of AVID is visiting, universities. We are excited to continue our partnership with Playworks next year. Playworks is the design of Playworks is to improve children's physical and social and emotional learning. And so the whole purpose behind us partnering with Playworks is to really help students during that unstructured playtime. It becomes more of a structured playtime. It focuses on the rules of the games, on safety, engagement, empowering students, and it leads to a culture of inclusion on the playground. So you don't have those students that are alone because they're able to choose from a selection of different activities to play in. And so you might be playing with somebody different every day because you're able to choose what you want to play. And so next year, we will continue that partnership, and Playworks themselves will be providing differentiated support to our school sites based on that site's needs. And again, we will continue with our Leader in Me partnership. We're excited. They will be enhancing their curriculum to include more social emotional integration into their curriculum. So we're really excited to see that coming our way. And of course, recently, Columbia and Cortado are our newest district schools to receive Lighthouse status. And something else that we're really excited about is our partnership with the Youth Cinema Project, and this is going to be an opportunity as part of our Expanded Learning Opportunity Program. The mission of the Youth Cinema Project is to close the achievement and opportunity gap for students by building the skills, portfolio, and social connections they need to become lifelong learners and filmmakers. And so through this, students will actually create a film, and they also learn about other jobs within the film industry or the cinema industry. So all those behind the scene jobs that students might not know about, they will get to explore that. So they will take industry field trips, they will work with Hollywood professionals, in workshops, and then at the end of the year, students will have final screenings in a professional Hollywood setting like the Academy of Motion Picture and Arts and Sciences and the Creative Artist Agency. And we are looking at possibly expanding this within the school day in one of our 6th grade classrooms as well. And before I actually turn it over to Mr. Sollenbach, sorry, there are a couple, one thing I did not put up there and I wanted to make sure the board was aware of is that our Head Start program will have on this Saturday at Rio Vista School a Build a Kite event with the Head Start students and some of our really encouraging dads, grandfathers, uncles to participate in this with our students at Head Start.
Well, good evening. I just wanted to give you a few updates in regards to personnel, and not just personnel, but some of the fun things that we get to do, and I still get to take part in. A month ago, I gave you some information in regards to our 19th, and I sort of called it almost annual because of our pandemic, right? We had to pause our annual event. So excited to confirm that we're on for Friday, May 26th over at Peck Road Park. We'll share more information with you. Our first race begins at 9 a.m. and we should do our award ceremony around 11. Pleased to still have the support of our Royals cross-country team. They do a big part of that actual day where they set up the course, and their high school runners actually pace the group that goes out, and then they always have some students that kind of make sure the last students come through. And so we have their support again this year, along with our nutrition services, which will be providing some water and various snacks. And our health services will ensure that we have a school nurse or two there just in case needed. And something that is going to be new to our district, we're seeing it in other districts already, Los Angeles County Office of Education, which really is the organization that issues our checks and our pay warrants. They finally have made electronic pay stubs available for employees. And so we're pleased about that aspect of it. We're not going to jump right in. We're actually going to just start sharing information with employees and how they access it and so on. And so for anyone who has direct deposit, beginning the July 25th, they will actually be able to go online and actually get their pay stub for that month or previous months. And that'll be a record, and they'll have access to it, at any moment. For those that still have hard checks, because there are still some that do it, they'll still receive their check and their pay stub at their school sites or their work departments. And finally, just wanted to share some of the wonderful pictures from our service pin mixer. We say it was a success. I think it was an incredible event with lots of fun, lots of social aspects taking place. There's kind of a rundown of what we had. We had 191 employees that were honored this year, combined 3,180 years of service. There's a breakdown for each of the years, how many employees fell into those categories. And then 4 pictures there of some of the employees that were receiving their pins and some of their friends that came to cheer them on. You know, it was a great event where employees came in, they picked up their pin, and we announced them, and everyone was just hanging around and socializing and so on. And then as soon as we started making an announcement, they all stopped what they were doing, and we had cowbells and pom-poms, and I think we had a bubble gun for a while, but that was quickly confiscated. I found out that was a no-no when I was running around. So that was a fun event, and we look forward to it in the future.
Thank you. And lastly, this evening, we had the opportunity to celebrate our Teacher of the Year, Mr. Jaime Reyes. And so we're very proud to call him our second Teacher of the Year, and he goes on to compete at the county level and at the state level. In addition to that, we're in full celebratory mode here at the district. We were able to celebrate Day of the Teacher. We have Classified Week coming up, and this evening you all received a hat. So we sent hats off to all of our staff, and with a little message saying that our hats off to them for just a wonderful year and their service. Mr. Dasmati launched this really cool campaign on social media last week, just asking teachers to comment on Day of the Teacher, asking families to comment. And it was so much fun to read through the comments and all the love that our families shared for the staffs at their respective school sites, individual teachers. And here's just one screenshot that highlights the very best of the best. And last but not least, we continue to just end the year with just so many wonderful activities. Musical theater performances are here, and so this is a wonderful opportunity to gather your family and go see our version of Broadway at our school sites. Many of our schools were able to participate this year. As you can see, the selections are just wonderful all around. And we'll be sharing that graphic there with our school community to invite them to see a showcase of our talent here in the El Monte City School District. And that concludes our update for this evening. Are there any questions or comments?
No, none at this time. Thank you so much, Cabinet, for the updates. Now we have board member communications. I'll start with Ms. Flores.
Thank you. Good evening. Last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, and I just want to give a big shout out and a really big thank you to all our educators. I know sitting in the role is very rewarding, yet extremely challenging. So I want to thank each and every one of the educators out there, especially within our school district, for waking up each day and going above and beyond and supporting our students. Since they are our future leaders. So thank you all. That's it for me.
Okay. Ms. Rivas.
Yeah, what a wonderful meeting so far, being able to celebrate students and teacher and staff. And thank you, everybody, for being here. And thank you, Ms. Elliott, for coming and sharing with us as well. We've got so many great things on the calendar. I'm very excited about all the things that you've shared about this evening. But I did want to acknowledge the choir festival that happened within this last month. It was really amazing to see all of our choir students in the entire district perform together. And there's so much enthusiasm among the students and the directors. There was quite a bit of hope for a rebuilding of the program that it felt like, I think the sense was that, everything took a hit during the pandemic, but there's quite a bit of hopefulness about rebuilding those programs, and the students were wonderful. It was great to hear their voices, and beautiful setting.
Thank you. Mr. Segrist?
I recently had a wonderful experience as helping be principal of the day at the El Monte Rosemead Adult School. And they would like to coordinate more with us and make sure that all of our schools have information about the wonderful programs available at Adult Ed. And there are wonderful programs that we need to share. Also, many parents in my local Nativity church are asking about starting a dual language program in Vietnamese and English. They say they know we have Spanish and English, we have Mandarin and English, and they would like to have us entertain Vietnamese and English also, because they're concerned their children will learn, they will lose the language if they don't. Also, a board member from the high school district, Mr. Quy Nguyen, has proposed that we have staff meet with the staff from the high schools. He's very concerned about the level of math being taught at the high schools, and he would like to entertain the staff from our district working with not just our district, but also Mountain View, Rosemead, and all the districts around. That came from the board member. Thank you.
Okay. All right, for my board update, I wanted to share that this weekend I'm going to delegate assembly. Okay, just to kind of share information with the audience and our new board member, Christina Flores. I know Miss Beth Rivas has done it in the past. So, with the California School Board Association, they have representatives from across California, right? And so they are able to use data to determine like how many delegates are representative in each region. And so we're 23B, and so I'm part of that region. And we meet twice a year, and part of it is the formality of it, right? So we are a voting body, and so they present different and updated policies that they present to us, and we vote on it. And then my favorite part is we actually do get to have direct input into their policies and their direction, right? And then there's different ways you can become more involved with delegate assembly, right? So from there, people who I call them like hardcore members, I'm gonna say, right? You can be part of the committees, you can run for different offices, but just on like the basic level is you get to contribute to the different policies and that representation, right? And so for this one, I'll kind of just read it off to you a little bit. Hold on, let me pull it up. So the Research and Education Policy Development Department of CSBA is launching a multi-stage research project, which includes focus groups, data analysis, and statewide survey to better understand the local implementation experiences of California's late start legislation. So they really want, at this delegate assembly, we're each divided into 4 different sections. I'm on the one on improved conditions. So it's an opportunity. We get about an hour where we get to provide input on different questions that they provided to us beforehand on how the new bill that was passed and implemented, on how that impacted, for example, in conditions of children. So that's just a way as board members how we're able to advocate and contribute to things that CSBA is doing at the state level, and we get to give direct input on how late start did impact us, right? And some of the questions that posed was like, how did late start impact your nutrition services? Did it impact it? What were the logistics that were involved? Did it impact student conditions? And so, yeah, it's really excited. It's a very filled day from morning to evening. But yeah, that's like, I would say my favorite part is that when we get into those focus groups and we're actually able to have that direct input to the different leaders of CSBA. Yeah, all right. All right, for our next, we have closed session. So we have 2 items we're going to be discussing. Item 1, consideration of approval of conference with legal counsel on existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 OAH case 2023-030794. And item 2, closed session items pursuant to Government Code 45957 on employee performance evaluation of the superintendent. Thank you. Okay, we are back to the Montecito School District Board of Education meeting at 6:48 p.m. We just returned from a closed session here. So during the just concluded closed session, the board voted to approve the settlement agreement for OAH case number 2023-030794. We had a first by Rivas, a second by Segrist. We had, and it was motioned 4-0 with 1 being absent. For item 2 on closed session, on item pursuant to Government Code 45957 on public employee performance evaluation of the superintendent, no action was taken. Right, moving on to consideration of approval for minutes for the April 17th, 2023 meeting. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Seegers. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Next, item 2, we have consideration of approval of minutes for the May 1st, 2023 study session meeting. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Ms. Flores. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Next, moving on to reports. We have one item under here. We have report on the 22-23 certificated employee to administrator ratio.
Good evening. Before you is just an annual report that we continue to bring. There was a time when this was a required document. It was submitted to the Department of Education. But we felt it was a valuable resource as well, and just good information to have. And so what it does is it looks at all of our required positions in Management Confidential in regards to the certificated side. And then it uses a ratio to determine whether we're over the number of administrators we should have as compared to, what we actually have in place. And so based on our teachers and the ratio, our maximum administration should be at 36.9, and we are at 22. So we're well below the ratio that was used at one time. So again, just a report that we like to bring for you, just for you to have.
Thank you for that. Okay, next, moving on to our action and consent agenda. Are there any items at this time that a board member would like to vote on separately? Okay, so I will now ask for a motion for the action and consent agenda.
I so move.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Rivas. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Seegers. Are there any questions or discussion? One, congratulations to all of the teachers that I saw that submitted for their retirement. You did it. All
Yes,
right.
and we'll have the opportunity to celebrate them on June 2nd at the retirement dinner.
Yeah, I always like to look at that at the end of the year.
Yes.
All right, any other questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Okay. Moving on to our action section. Starting with item 1, consideration of approval of purchase orders.
Board President, members of the governing board, before you is a purchase order related to the month of April, 376 purchase orders on there, totaling almost $900,000. Some of the ones I would like to highlight is the County of LA, $116,000. That purchase order is related to election costs related to the November 2022 election. Also, $70,000 to our food services department. That's the cost of feeding our students over spring break, right? And so that's just some inter-fund transfers going on there. $50,000 for a new vehicle that our Head Start department purchased. And we also made a $27,000 investment with some no-touch restroom cleaning machines that our custodial department staff will be utilizing to make sure we can maintain our cleaning levels and take it to the next level. So we're excited about that investment.
Thank you, Mr. Herrera. Do we have a motion on the approval of purchase orders?
Move to approve.
Okay, motion by Ms. Flores. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Seegers. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Next, we have consideration of approval of resolution for this school year, 22-23, number 35, on CAL FIRE Green Schoolyard Grant.
Thank you. So this is an exciting grant that we're pursuing. Included in there's a resolution that would permit district staff to accept the award and execute any necessary documents related to the grant. Should we be approved for the award, we should find out sometime over the summer. We're partnering with Active SGV and Trust for Public Land in submission of this grant application on behalf of Cortada, Gidley, and Shripser School. Included in the board agenda is some renderings of what the potential implementation of the grant could look like. Again, we're not tied to those draft plans. It's just information that we've developed as part of the grant submission. If awarded, this is one of the ways where we may be able to utilize funding and layer that on top of our facility master plan and making sure that this grant, if it so ties into our prioritization framework, we can use that fund and leverage it with other funds. And so the purpose of the grant is to provide for more outdoor learning opportunities, introduce and maintain more green schoolyards on our campuses. And so we strategically applied on behalf of those 3 schools. And if we're awarded, it would be up to $2 million per school that we would potentially be able to access. And so we will find out hopefully sometime over the summertime if we were successful with that grant application.
Thank you, Ms. Herrera. I move to approve item 2. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Next, item 3, consideration of approval of resolution for the school year 22-23, number 36, authorization to join Education Technology Joint Powers Authority, EdTech JPA.
Thank you. So this would allow us to join EdTech JPA. It's a joint powers authority formed by the Irvine Unified School District in conjunction with some other school districts. There's no cost to join. There's many districts that participate in that JPA across the state of California. It allows us to piggyback off of contracts in the area of technology, whether it's hardware, software, licenses, things like that, assessment platforms. And so approval of this would still require the school district to bring all contracts and purchase agreements to the El Monte City School District Board for final approval. This just allows us to have access to any contracts that the JPA has already competitively bid out on behalf of the member districts, and there's no cost to join the JPA.
Thank you. Is there a motion for item 3?
I move to approve item 3.
Okay, motion by Ms. Rivas. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Segrist. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Next, we have item 4, consideration of approval resolution for the school year 22-23, number 37, California Department of Public Health Indoor Air Quality Grant Acceptance.
Thank you. So this is a grant that we've been awarded by the California Department of Public Health. It's only $10,000, but we'll take it. We're going to use the limited funds to conduct awareness campaigns on the importance of indoor air quality and the impact on health, not only in our schools, but in the greater El Monte community. So we were pleased to have been awarded the funds through the California Department of Public Health, and we're going to try to stretch that $10,000 as far as we can, right? So we can make sure that we increase awareness not only among students, but staff and the parents and just the general community here in the city of El Monte.
Thank you. All right, is there a motion for item 4?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, motion by Ms. Flores. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Next, we have consideration of approval of resolution for the school year 22-23, number 38, delegating authority to execute agreements.
Thank you. So this is a resolution that we haven't brought to the board in quite some time, since we've been, I guess you could say, dormant with our facilities improvement program, right? This was the last major facilities improvement that we had. The Cortada Childhood Modernization Project is a good first project for us, and it doesn't hurt that we've received a good amount of funds from the Office of Head Start through LA County Office of Education. That's a project that's going to be heavily subsidized with federal funds, and there'll be very minimal local funds that we have to put up. And so as we look at the construction projects and the timeline of that, And the board meetings that, or lack thereof, that we have quite a bit of a break there between June and the next study session in late July. This allows Dr. Garcia or myself to execute any necessary contracts. We wrote this resolution very specific in mind for the general contractor, Nazarian Group, that we're awarding the site work to, not to exceed $2 million. We don't expect that contract to come in excess of that. What it allows is for myself or Dr. Garcia to execute the contract, and we still need to bring the contract back to the board for ratification at the next regular board meeting. We expect DSA approval on our plans to come in the next few weeks. We think mid-June at the latest. And after that point, we'll enter into negotiations with the general contractor to identify a guaranteed maximum price, similar to what we did when this building was constructed and all the other construction projects we've done over the years. And in order to maximize the summertime when there's going to be no staff and students on campus, we do not want to cause any delays in the execution of a contract or have to unnecessarily call a special board meeting just to approve one contract. So this is in place for the 2023 calendar year. But for all intents and purposes, we really only plan on utilizing it for the summer construction project at Cortado School.
Thank you. I move to approve item 5. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Flores. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Okay, item 6, we have consideration of approval of resolution for the school year 22-23, number 39, supporting award of leaseback agreement for the Cortada School Early Childhood Modernization Project pursuant to to Education Code, section 17406.
All right, thank you. So this, again, we've already purchased the modular classrooms, the buildings. A few months from now, once the existing portables have been demolished and we've laid the groundwork and the foundation, we'll be craning those buildings in. But an important part of the Cortada project is the site work. We have to demolish existing portables, make sure that the site work is prepared. We're constructing some new playgrounds in the area. We went out to bid a few months ago, and district staff reviewed the proposals that came in. We conducted a job walk. We had interviews with the bidders. We had 3 bids that came in, and we're recommending that we move forward with the Nazarian Group. Before you is a resolution supporting the award of these leaseback agreements. Attached in the board agenda is copies of the contract documents that we will be negotiating the terms with the Nazarian Group to proceed with it. The importance of proceeding with the leaseback procurement method allows us to begin the pre-construction services. If approved, we will be bringing on the contractor in the next week or two to start having these planning meetings and be ready to go so we can maximize the 60 days or so over the summer when there's no students or staff on campus. And we hope to get the bulk of the site work done during those times so as to minimize the disruption to the community, the staff, and the students. So with the approval of this resolution, it allows the district to enter into negotiations and award a contract to Nazarian Group to proceed as a general contractor on this project.
Thank you. Is there a motion for item 6?
I move to approve item 6.
Okay, motion by Ms. Rivas. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Seegers. Any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Then lastly, we have item 7, consideration of approval of declaration of need for the fully qualified educators for the 23-24 school year.
Thank you, President Mendez Garcia. Before you for consideration of approval is our declaration of needs for fully qualified educators. It's an annual document that we submit to the Commission on Teacher Credentialing. And what we do through this document is we list potential needs in the coming school year. And what it allows us to do is that if we do have a need, such as maybe a teacher that doesn't have their CLAD completed, we can apply for an emergency CLAD, which allows them to teach ELD. Or if it is a tough area, tough contents, for example, a few years ago in our autism program, finding someone that met that criteria after the start of the school year, we were able to utilize this document because we had submitted it, and hire someone on a STIP, which is kind of like the old school emergency credentials, but now they call them in a permit form. And so this document allows us to do that. If we did not have this document submitted and we wanted to go forward with it, we'd have to bring this document at that time and then submit it to the commission as well. So we're just trying to get ahead of the game just in case, with no anticipation of needing it, but having it there just in case.
Right. Is there a motion for item 7?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Mr. Seegers. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carry, oh, any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Now we have some board policy updates, and as we know, every time there's updates with any local, state, or federal laws, then our board policies get updated to be aligned with those policies. So we have, starting with item 1, we have consideration of approval of first reading of revised board policy 3555 on nutrition program compliance. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Next, we have item 2, consideration of approval, first reading of revised board policy 4030 on non-discrimination in employment. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Flores. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Item 3, consideration of approval of first reading of revised board policy 4218 and administrative regulation 4218 on dismissal, suspension, disciplinary action. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Seegers. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Item 4, consideration of approval of the first reading revised administrative regulation 5113 on absences and excuses. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Item 5, consideration of approval of first reading revised administrative regulation 5131.41, use of seclusion and restraint. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Segrist. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Item 6, consideration of approval of first reading revised administrative regulation 6115 on ceremonies and observances. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Flores. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Item 7, consideration of approval of first reading revised board policy 6173 and administrative regulation 6173 on education for homeless children. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Flores. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Item 8, consideration of approval of first reading revised board policy 6173.1 and administrative regulation on education for foster youth. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Item 9, consideration of approval of first reading revised board policy 6177 on summer learning programs. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll
I'll-
second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Item 10, consideration of approval of first reading revised board bylaw 9270, conflict of interest. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Segrist. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Item 11, consideration of approval of first reading and revised board bylaw 9320, meetings and notices. I move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivas. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. At our next board meeting, we will then have approval of the second reading of the board policies. Okay. Moving on to discussion session, starting with item 1, spelling bee, and this was brought up by Mr. Seegers as an item that he would like to discuss with the board.
Yeah, I'd like us to entertain the spelling bee. We used to do it. In fact, we were unique. We did it in English and Spanish. And it was very successful.
So we have the,
Excuse me, and we had to explain that it's not just learn a list of words. You study etymology, origin of the word, you actually find them in sentences, and really a great vocabulary builder. Past winners that I know, Baldwin Park won 1 year countywide, another one was Glendale. I'd like to think about doing it. It costs $300 to invest in it. And there's a training video that's available online. I saw it already, and it's still available. I'd just like to see if we could do it for our kids. Another outlet for some of these kids that want to do it. And coincidentally, years ago, my neighbor, Vivian Chan, came in first place. And she ended up going on to become valedictorian at Arroyo High School. She said the spelling bee changed her whole life for the better. Thank you.
all right, I believe at this time Dr. Pinello prepared some information, background information for the board to consider for this discussion item.
Thank you, President Mendez-Garcia, Governing Board. So just a little bit of background of how we came to be. We moved away from the spelling bee a few years back. With the adoption of the state standard, or the California Common Core standards, the Office of Instruction made a recommendation to move toward something, a showcase that would help students to apply what they had learned in the various content areas. So I was looking at application of skills in language arts, social studies, and science. And so what they came up with at the time was a speech competition. Students were given a prompt that they needed to respond to. They needed to do research around the prompt, look at various sources to support their stance in response to the prompt. Including looking at counter arguments, writing their response, and then actually giving a speech. And in doing so, this highlighted really their 21st century skills of communication. There was some collaboration that went on with that, critical thinking, and also their creativity came out. You saw their personalities come out in their speech as well. And the importance of 21st century skills really came about when the employers out there, in the workforce said, we really want our workers to come prepared with these certain skills, and these are the skills that they determined, their future employees really needed. And so that's how we came about moving from the spelling bee to the speech competition. Unfortunately, the pandemic put a little bit of a wrench in the whole system, because we had to stop doing gathering in large arenas like that. And so we are looking at moving forward, continuing to do something like our speech competition, perhaps in an enhanced way. And I do want to say that in doing this, in no means are we saying, spelling is not important. We still continue to focus on spelling. It's part of our curriculum, and it's actually integrated throughout all of the content areas, so that academic vocabulary, content vocabulary, and spelling are still part of our instructional programs. So just a little bit of background. Any questions?
Yeah, I know in the past, was it the after-school program that incorporated?
Thank you for that, President Mendez-Garcia. So yes, just prior to the pandemic, actually, during, that fall, I believe it was, Ms. Castro and I actually met with our Learn partners to start having, we had a discussion about having the spelling bee take place as part of our after-school program, and Learn was on board with it, and then, again, the pandemic happened, and that kind of put a wrench in it. And so we are looking at seeking that opportunity and that partnership, again, with our after-school partners to potentially bring back a spelling bee for our after-school programming. In addition to, as you know, we have quite a bit of opportunities now as part of our ELAP programming, but that is something that we can definitely explore.
No, thank you for the information. And, I know we're at the end of the school year, and I know also take consideration that teachers have a lot on their plate. But I do like the idea of giving the after-school program and also ELAP, giving them the option to know, like, by the way, if you're interested in this, then we can give you all the information that you need to participate and create a spelling bee. Any other comments from the board on that?
If I can just add one more comment, I think, the pandemic definitely put a lot of things on pause. And, there were districts participating in the county, and I think there's a state spelling bee. But as a result of the pandemic, there aren't any districts in the county that are participating in a spelling bee or that are moving forward with a spelling bee. So I think it is an opportunity for us to rethink, how we look at something that we did traditionally for many, many years, perhaps create some, local opportunities for kids to still engage. And just to really echo Dr. Pinedo, spelling hasn't gone away. It's still part of our curriculum. The way it's integrated is much more conducive to learning, the origin of spelling words and so forth. And I really appreciate the way Mr. Segrist phrased it. It's about kids having better understanding of vocabulary, right? But all that to say that this is something that we're seeing this is a trend that we're seeing across the county. We're not seeing any local spelling bees as well in other districts.
There are some districts that are working on it for next year, 2024. And there are some in Northern California that are having it now. But I just think it's another opportunity because a lot of kids that are shy, it can turn them around having to perform in public too. A lot of positives.
I also appreciate your point about etymology and origin of words, and I also value, memorization and looking for patterns in language. You start to make connections with other languages. There's a lot of neat things that can happen by really looking at the spelling of words. And there are I appreciate your point also about the impact that any kind of competition can have on students, because that can be really motivational or highlight of their year or whatever. So I hear your points there. At the same time, I don't feel a necessity to move back towards a spelling bee. I think that the speech, if I think about where we're going with technology and how quickly spell checked everything is for me as I type, and also how information, the way we're getting information is changing, I think that the real human action of expressing yourself in spoken language is going to be really, really important in our upcoming years. And so I like that we moved in that direction. And it's fine if we'd like to do some local, like after school stuff, that would be fine. But if we find that our after school learning is starting to move in different directions as well, I'm good with that as well. I don't feel a need to circle back to what we did in the past. I think that we can continue to highlight, like you say, the etymology, the origin, do competitions, all of that kind of stuff. I just don't think it needs to be spelling bee.
Yeah, I also agree as well. I appreciate that we've, kind of moved from the spelling bee to speech competitions, because I assume the reason for that is, like you mentioned, these are the skills that are needed within careers and jobs after graduation. And so I definitely think, and it's still a competition, so I think, the skills that they've gained in a spelling bee or what they've learned can also be gained through these speech competitions. But I also agree with what Beth said. I think, as having it part of after school programs would be great, and local.
And maybe the after-school program could field a team to enter, because next year there will be a competition from LA County. LACO is going to offer it again for the county. I'd like to see us participate and give our kids a chance.
All right. Well, it seems like just the majority of the board, takes in consideration everyone's input. But from what I'm hearing, the board would like is in agreement with the cabinet's recommendation and how they're moving forward with speech, but also acknowledging that they're still going to find opportunities and provide that information to the Learn program if it's something that they're wanting to pursue. And then we would be 100% behind board with supporting that if that's what the after-school program thinks would be beneficial for students. Okay. All right. Thank you for that discussion, team. All right. Our next item is our board retreat. Discussing that.
Thank you, President Mendez Garcia. Every year we adopt a calendar and we identify a date for the board retreat. I know early on there was a few conflicts, and so we said that we would determine the date as we got closer. And so here we are. Traditionally, we've had a retreat at the end of July. But I think, from my understanding, there are some conflicts now with our existing, and we would normally meet that last Saturday of July, and from my understanding, there are a few conflicts. And so something to consider is to move our board retreat into the start of the school year. It could be sometime in August and September. Traditionally, we've also used that time for the board to do a self-evaluation, to determine some goals. But I think, while that work is still really important, there's going to be some opportunities as we take on the work of a strategic plan to take into consideration all of the time that will be required from the board, and then we map that out for the fall at maybe one of our next board meetings. And so just something for you to consider. If there's if you would like to find a date in July, we can definitely put out some information so we can try to coordinate some times. Or if you'd like to move that out a little bit, we can also give the board a little bit more time to consider a time to meet in the summer.
Yeah, and we took in consideration, I know Dr. Garcia and I were kind of working and communicating with different board members on their schedule, but knowing that July is traditionally the time where the district is on holiday, and that's the opportunity that pretty much our administrators are also take their holiday. And knowing that we start the school year already like mid-August, so that's just something if the board would like to consider and is comfortable with having our board meeting beginning of August, right? Everyone's already, we spent, July, we rest, right? Because we have 2 board meetings in June, so July would be a time of rest for everyone here on the dais. And then in August, when we start coming back for the school year, we have our board retreat in the beginning of August. Yeah, and then
Thank you. I did. Thank you for highlighting that. We normally encourage district staff to take time off during July. And so it would be a bit of a conflict to try to find an earlier date. So I did forget to include that information. My apologies.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I think we're trying to get every weekend possible in July. So how would the board feel with us looking for a date in early August, and we could be flexible with having an evening or early Saturday morning?
August is good.
Yeah, August would be great. If early works for the cabinet, because I think that's really gearing up time, but if it works, if it fits in with all the other trainings and things that are happening, that would be great. But if we need to move so a little bit after the start of the school year, I'm fine with that too.
Okay. Any preference with evening or Saturday morning? Or we'll give you some options, and then Dr. Garcia will follow up.
Yes.
All right, perfect.
I'm fine. Yeah, August is fine.
Thank you, Mr. Segrist. Yeah. Sending that message of importance of wellness and rest, kind of disconnecting. Okay, so moving on, at this time, are there any future discussion items board members would like us to consider for a future board meeting? Okay, all right. And
yes.
Yes, Mr. Segrist, yeah.
I'd like us to explore offering dual immersion in Vietnamese and English, because I think there are so many positives. We could actually address declining enrollment maybe by recruiting more students. Also, I'd like to see us expand the resolutions on ethnicities. This is Jewish American Month, and for me that's a special memory. I had a good friend at Chaffey Community College named Arnie. He was a Holocaust survivor. Some people may remember Almani, Marianne Last. Her parents were Holocaust survivors. And I think that by expanding ethnicity resolutions, we show that we care about all groups, not just some. And if it's embedded somewhere in the curriculum, it's not the same, because our resolutions are public and people do address those. They do look at those. So again, this is Jewish American Month. So I think that we really need to look at the expanding this. We didn't do anything for Irish American Month, Scottish American Month, Armenian American Month. We ignored those. We neglected. And I think there's a message behind that. So I'd like to see us exploring resolutions for all ethnicities, because this country was founded and is continuing to be founded by immigrants from all over the world. Thank you.
And just a quick response to that, at our annual board retreat is when we do discuss resolutions, and so that would be the perfect opportunity for board members to come prepared with resolutions that they would like the board to consider. So that's where we would do that at our annual board retreat. Okay, all right, so then, any other items? All right, so I will adjourn tonight's meeting at 7:25 PM. Thank you.
May I say something? Happy Mother's Day, belatedly, but for all moms and grandmas and great-grandmas.
Okay.
You deserve it. Thank you.